We are going to date with intentions.
Intentionality just boils down to having a relationship with God first, knowing who you are in God so that you know what the purpose is and what God aligned our relationship to be. If they're a man of God, they shouldn't be trying to get you in bed, because they read the Bible, they know what the Bible says, and it actually is a freeing feeling not being a slave to my sins anymore.
I want to do it differently, and that's when I started to realize the importance of discernment.
When you get that discernment, you're seeing those red flags, and they're not looking like yellow flags anymore. They're looking like exactly red flags. Like,
we all have to leave this earth, and I'll be darned if I don't use my time as wisely and as best as I can,
Yeah.
Ultimately, as long as you stand on what you believe and stand 10 toes down on it,
Yep.
honey, the right one will stay and the wrong ones will eventually get tired and leave.
You should be looking for those fruits of the spirit in a person, and those should be like the non-negotiables. I have to see these.
The more you're in your prayer time, the more that you start to value you. You start to realize what you will tolerate and what you won't, what you will accept and what you just cannot, you know.
It's so funny because that's a subtitle in my book, Navigating Life in Uncertainty. And you literally were like reciting what I wrote in there. I just talked about, you know what you will tolerate, you know what you won't tolerate. And so it hit it on the nail. That just put the biggest smile on my face. But yeah,
and it's
divine alignment.
Baby, come on. Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of Beaut Tea Told, your relationship podcast, where me and my special guests, we take your relationship topics, struggles, challenges, we deep dive into that thing with the overall goal of promoting positive change and healthy relationships for all. So welcome. And before I introduce my beauty, because yes, she's understood the assignment, okay? From purse to shoes, girl, love it. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge and point out the fact that we are at Ruthie's List, y'all, and it is a beautiful, fabulous area where you can be able to do just about anything you want to do. And when it comes to today, we're going to use it for Beaut Tea Told. So a little switch up on y'all. Y'all know I can't keep everything the same. I had to switch it up on you. But I think it came out so beautifully. Shout out to Bree with Overflow Studios. Shout out to Steve with Alien Eyes. Because y'all, dynamic duo, okay? I mean, kudos to y'all, okay? So without further ado, I want to introduce to you guys Miss Shanklin, who, this beauty, by the way, just released a wonderful book. And when I tell y'all, I didn't want to stop. If it wasn't for the fact I had to pick up my kids, I was going to read this book and finish from start to finish. So congrats on your book.
Thank you.
Author in the house, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And, I want you to be able to introduce yourselves to the people, and we're going to get started on this hot, juicy topic.
Awesome. Well, my name is Jan, and I am a author, as you said, actress, digital creator, life coach. I wear many hats.
Yes,
even I was just modeling recently. Like, you can add model in there. Like, I'm always adding something. But yeah, so I pretty much do a lot of different things, and I'm excited to be here.
Yes, so we are excited to have you. And yes, y'all, it was not planned that hairs are bobbing, okay? I love the switch up, by the way.
Yes,
I was like,
you.
oh, she must know she was coming on my show.
Yes.
And I was also, fun fact, glad to know that I'm one of the first podcasts where it's just an all-woman podcast, okay?
Yes,
so
I'm
shout
so
out
excited.
to the ladies.
Girl
and we
talk.
doing the thing. Girl talk for show. So without further ado, you guys, of course, handy dandy faith journal, making sure that we stay on topic. But it is going to be the topic of, listen, date me with intention or don't date me at all. Okay? Don't waste my time. So y'all, I'm not going to date about putting the year out there, but regardless of whether it's 2027, whether it's 2050, we are going to date with intentions. We are going to date the right way because the overall goal is we want to be able to have someone that is long-term. We want to be able to have that forever partner, that life partner, or I like to call it your purpose partner.
Yeah.
So, Jan, when it comes to dating with intention, what does that mean to you?
So dating with intention, of course, it goes back, I would say, to God.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
want God to be at the center of everything that we do. We have to build that personal relationship with God ourselves. And then when we go out into the world, we're we should be courting,
For
right? Like
sure.
that's what it should be. This new age dating, I'm actually like, this is the perfect topic for me to be on because I tell you, I'm always talking about something that pertains to it. But intentionality just boils down to having a relationship with God first, knowing who you
Mhm.
are in God, so that you know what the purpose is and what God aligned our marriage or the marriage to be and the
Yeah,
relationship to be. It was courting to marry, not courting to dating to boyfriend to it was not that.
that part.
So intentional dating is dating to get married.
Okay, awesome. And again, if that's not your intentions, you may be on the wrong podcast, y'all, because y'all know that's all I really am promoting is healthy, not toxic relationships. We want healthy, growing, glowing relationships because the end goal is to be, someone's husband or is to be someone's wife, because like beauty's engines, okay?
Mhm.
So when I think of the fact of dating with intention, Sean, what would you say was your turning point when you realized that I don't want to just be casually dating? Was it something that came from maybe a breakup, or was
Mhm.
it something where it was your stronger relationship with God?
Yeah, so it was building my relationship with God. So I've been single for the past almost 6 years now.
Okay.
But like those first 3 years were
Yeah.
actually unintentional.
Okay.
And so I was just casually dating and just out there just exploring, like, just doing whatever and I was getting dogged. So
Oh no. Okay.
to just make it clear,
Okay.
but, like, after that, that's when it was like, I got tired of my ways, and I
Yeah.
was like, "It's time for me to submit my will and go towards God's way." And
Yeah.
so I started building my relationship with God, and over time, that's when it actually started to come, like, with the Holy Spirit, I started to have convictions about casual dating, and I started to be
Mhm.
like, "You know what? Like, this isn't what I wanna continue to do. This isn't
Yeah.
working for me, so it's time to do it God's way." So, yes, it came with building my relationship with God and deciding, like, I need to change things because I can't keep going through the same thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And listen, that was something with and I appreciate you sharing that because I can, I had a similar experience. Mine was though due to a marriage that didn't work out, you
Mhm.
know. And I can't say that it really was something that maybe God placed as something. I feel like it was me doing my way and just saying, God, work it out
Yes.
versus knowing for a fact that I know that God placed us together and we in this thing for forever. I
Mhm.
did everything possible. Y'all know my story.
Mhm.
So for me, it was like, okay, I want to get it right the next time. I
Yes.
don't want to repeat the same thing over and over and expect different results. I
Mhm.
want to do it differently. And that's when I started to realize the importance of discernment.
Mhm.
So, girl,
Yep.
you got to, because I know when it comes to
Yes.
dating with intentions, I feel like that's like the number one thing that you need is that discernment because God will
Absolutely.
literally help weed out the ones that just ain't
Mhm.
gonna work.
Absolutely, and to that point, it's something that I actually kinda briefly talked about in Navigating Life in
Okay. I'm
Uncertainty.
getting there, girl. I'm
Yeah,
getting there.
and I just had, like, a brief segment in there where I was saying that I believe that there are always signs,
Yeah.
and that's where the discernment comes in at, like, you can look back at any relationship that failed and
Hmm.
see that there was, a sign there,
Oh, for
and
sure.
I even go on to say that I don't believe in a such thing as failed relationships because you learn something from
Mm,
every
that's
situation
true.
and it's to prepare you for something. Like you can look back and say, okay, I could have been better here or they could
Yeah.
have been better there. So yeah, but when you get that discernment, you're
Mhm.
seeing those red flags and they not looking like yellow flags anymore. They're looking like exactly red flags. Like
Honey.
because you know how sometimes you try to look at a red flag and you're like, well, maybe it's not that bad. But no, now it's like, when you get discernment and you continue and you get discernment by continuing to stay in the word of God, continue to build that
Absolutely.
relationship with God. But yeah, as you continue to get it, you see
You
exactly
see
what it
it.
is and you're not overlooking it. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And I don't know about you, but when I
Mhm.
first realized like that, I was like, "Ooh, this is a little scary."
Yeah.
This is a little
Yeah.
scary. Like I feel like it's a superpower. I shouldn't be able to see so
No.
quickly somebody that ain't meant for me. Whether
Absolutely.
it's guy like pointing the direction of their social media and you just realizing that all they want to do is, party or they
Mhm.
want to just, smoke a little something, something. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I just know right off the rip that's not gonna mesh well with what I got going on. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I feel
Mhm.
like it will help a lot of us, beauties and gents, it'll help a lot of us to be able to stop wasting time that we don't have.
Mhm.
That's the only thing in this life that is limited. At some point we all have to leave this earth and I'll be darned. if I
Mhm.
don't use my time as wisely and as best as I
Yeah.
can, you know?
Yeah.
So I will say this, what has been some maybe situations where you realize that someone is just not where you're at and or not that person that you feel as though God is sending your way?
It comes a lot with, now the things that I am no longer normalizing. I actually made a tweet about this like last week or something.
Okay.
And I was like, things that I thought were normal that I'm no longer normalizing. So
Wow.
what are those things? Premarital sex, like,
Okay.
just getting drunk, like,
Mhm.
self-pleasure, like those type of things that I started like identifying and like
Yeah.
telling people and saying that. And when I like meet somebody and they're like, "Oh, are you like serious about this? Are you holding true to this?"
Mhm.
It's when they're trying to question me on this and I'm like, "Well, do you read the Bible? Because it would tell you like that
Right.
these things are not things that we should be doing." So that's when I'm able to point out like, who's actually a true man of God, because
Yeah.
like I was watching actually a video last night with Tony Gaskins,
Okay.
and
Yes.
that's our guy.
That's our guy,
And
girl.
so, he just talked about like how to test men of God. Like if somebody say
Mm.
they're a man of God, it should show in their
It
actions.
sure
He said,
should.
basically with someone like that, if they're a man of God, they shouldn't be trying to get you in bed, like because they
Mhm.
read the Bible, they know what the Bible says, and it's not to put us in bondage or anything. And
Right.
because I when I made that post, somebody was like, "That just sounds like so sad or something." And I said, "Actually, it's a freeing feeling not
For
being a slave to
sure.
my sins anymore." So
Yeah.
when I'm talking to someone and, they're not on the same level, or not level, but the same pages and
Yeah.
aligned with me on on those beliefs and values, that's when I know like, yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's fair enough. And same, you realize early enough that okay, s- some men they can hide it a little bit better than others. I will say that. But at the same time, ultimately, as long as you stand on what you believe and stand
Mhm.
10 toes down on it,
Yep.
honey, the right one will stay and the wrong ones will eventually get tired and leave.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I've had that happen more times. Matter of fact, I had one where it was it was our first date. And I don't know about you, that's gonna be my next question for you. I don't outright just tell you that, okay, I'm abstaining, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
from sex or something like that. So I don't tell you right off the rip. It's not that I'm holding it a secret, but I do want
Mhm.
to, I wanted to get to know you. I want you to get to know me because I think you have to create that connection first before you hit
Mhm.
someone, before you drop that bomb, because
Mhm.
for guys that's a big thing. So it was one guy in particular. We was out on a date. It was going okay.
Yeah.
I could tell that we weren't really connecting.
Yeah.
Handsome guy. Don't get me wrong. He was
Mhm.
hottie, but I could just tell that we just, I don't know, the vibe wasn't there. And so he decided to ask me a question. He's like, "Oh, are you one of those girls that are waiting until marriage?"
Oh my goodness, just give it away.
I'm like, "How did he know?" That was my
Yeah.
first thought in my head. How did he know? And I mean, that's when I really had to, I'm like, should I tell him? But at this point, if I
Mhm.
lie, it's really not going to start off great.
Yeah.
So I decided to tell him. He was like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "All right," and I could just tell right then and there
The mood
the
changed.
date was over, girl. I knew the date was over. Now
Yeah.
this is a few years ago. This is before my
Mhm.
boo. Hey boo. When that was something coming straight out of a marriage, I definitely
Yeah.
was not trying to rush to the bedrooms. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I really wanted to date with intention and see what the men were on because I was married for 12 years.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
dating was
Yeah.
brand new to me.
Oh,
I
yeah, I know it was
mean,
a different roller coaster too coming out after
girl.
that, like
My gosh.
Yeah.
Great guy. You know what's funny though?
Mhm.
Great guys for the most part. It
Yeah.
was just I could be able to pick up within maybe 3 months or less that it
Mhm.
just isn't gonna work. It just isn't gonna work. Whether
Yep.
you were hot tempered, whether it was
Mhm.
we just wasn't on the same page with that,
Yes.
because that like I said, that was one date and
Mhm.
didn't hear back and
Yeah.
it's okay. It's
That
all
is.
right.
Listen,
The right, the right person, stuck and stayed and the wrong one,
absolutely.
we run on the same page and it's all good.
Yeah.
So my question was that I want for you is, do you tend to tell someone up front that, you are dating with the intentions of marriage and basically that, hey, that's
Mhm.
kind of off the table for right now? Or do you kind of wait to see if there is a connection, a vibe, and then be more open to that
So,
conversation.
okay, so I'm not dating right now,
Mhm.
but when I meet someone, I'm actually asking them probing questions like, "What's your relationship with God?"
Mhm.
Before I even go on a date with someone. So I typically haven't even been
Mm.
making it to that stage because I'm like, "Who are you? Like,
Mhm.
what can you tell me about your relationship with God?" And
Yeah.
I actually had like the last person that approached me. I wouldn't say it was a disaster, but it was. It was just like I was like, "You clearly don't see my page. I read the Bible every day." And he was like, "I don't
Yeah.
read the Bible at all." And I was like,
Oh.
"This isn't gonna work." And I had to like straight up tell him this is a non-negotiable. Like, I won't even go out on a date with you if
Yeah.
you don't have a relationship or a routine. And people have asked me like, "Well, you expect somebody to do the same thing?" I'm like, "I don't expect them to do the same thing. Our relationship with God is different. Like everybody's, relationship is their relationship, but there needs to be an established routine."
Yeah.
So, that's something that I ask before I even go on a date. Like I'm
Mhm.
asking what their relationship is because that'll tell me a lot. That'll
For
tell me
sure.
like if there's somebody who, believes in those things. So I'm having that
Mhm.
conversation before we even get to that point.
Mm. And you know what's funny? I've told y'all beauties and gents, listen, before I think that was part of my dating rules, I believe,
Mhm.
is that a lot of times you can even prevent the first bad date. If you
Mhm.
just have the conversations, you ask the right questions right off the rip, you can tell right away that this date ain't gonna never happen.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
had a guy that we would pass each other at my job here and there and we'd do a little flirting here and there, it's
Yeah.
harmless fun. And so he had finally told me that, like, hey, can I, talk with you, really, get to know you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we started with just kind of like texting. And I'll never forget that he had wanted to set up a date. And the day that he wanted to set up a date was a Friday that I was going to a singles group,
Mhm.
a small group, at a church at New Community. Shout out to New Community. And I was like, "Oh, I already have plans, but if you want, you can feel free to join." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because that way you can kind of get a glimpse of my world and what I do on a
Mhm.
monthly, because we would meet once a month.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, well, he's like, church is not really my thing."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Oh." And see, for me,
Yeah.
okay, do you have a desire to maybe want to get there? Because I think you can
Mhm.
work with that,
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, that's just not something that I do." And I was like, "Okay, for me, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything." So for me, it's like, well, what do you really truly, what keeps you grounded? What keeps you,
Mhm.
from venturing off and, with Sally or Sue? You know what I mean? So for
Yeah.
me, it was just, and then the most important piece, and to your point, is I need a man that's going to be in the word. I need a man that at least can be able to give me a scripture.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, at least tell me what
Absolutely.
your favorite scripture is when you're down and out. What is your go to? And so, unfortunately, I was like, okay, well, I appreciate you being upfront and honest.
Mhm.
And this is something that, I stand on. I love the
Yeah.
Lord, and
Mhm.
I could just tell this ain't gonna work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to your point, like you said, stand for something or fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something that I'm big about too. Like, you have to establish what's a non negotiable and having your non negotiables, right? Like, no one
Mm-hmm.
knows upfront, knowing this is something that is very important to me. So,
Yeah.
if it doesn't align with you, we're not aligned. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Now, speaking of, your non-negotiables,
Hmm.
what would you say with someone who's dating with intentions? What should be, for the most part,
Hmm.
especially like I said, if y'all believe in God, that should always be, that's your automatic.
Yep.
But what would be some other principles that you would say should be some non-negotiables if you're really dating to intentionally marry?
Yeah, so I mean, to the main one, of course, like
Mm-hmm.
if you're following God, Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
it should be a man or woman of God. So that's where you start. And then you go to those fruits of the spirit. You should be looking for
Mm-hmm.
those fruits of the spirit in a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that those should be like the non-negotiables. I have to see these.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see any work of the flesh. Like, if you
Mm.
want to know what those are, if you don't know, Galatians 5.
Galatians, yeah.
And so, like, you go to that, and that's where I build my non negotiable list from.
Okay.
So, I want to see somebody who's peaceful, who's gentle, who's
Same.
kind, who's loving. So, those are non negotiables. I need to see that. And that's what someone should be looking for when it comes to establishing what their non-negotiables are. And not surface level stuff, right? Like, I think people like to say, oh, I want somebody that's 6 foot and this and that,
Yeah, six
like,
figures.
yeah, exactly. Like tall, dark, and handsome.
Yep.
Like, no, we have to be like, we should be looking at people's hearts. Not saying you
Yeah.
shouldn't want somebody who's attractive. I
Right.
get that. Like, and actually the video I watched yesterday with Tony Gaskins, he was like, he's hilarious.
He
He was
is
just like,
so
he
hilarious.
was like, you gotta know, like, your type looks
Yeah,
compatibility.
for
Like,
sure.
so he was even like, sometimes it might not be the person who looks that good. And I was like, all right, I hear you, TG, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, he spoke to that too, like about looking at somebody's heart and stuff. But yeah, those fruits of the spirit, for sure, is something that I live by.
Okay. Hey y'all, I know you're enjoying the episode of Beaut Tea Told. We're gonna get right back to it. But first I have a question for you. Have you been struggling in your relationship or maybe lack thereof and just need someone you can trust to talk to? Or maybe you find yourself back in them tired, played out games and wonder, how in the world did I get here? Well, guess what? You now can book a session with me at beautytold.com and let's talk about it. Let's heal, let's grow, let's build so that way you can become your better self, and that way you can attract what you are desiring and get the relationship that you so deserve. Oh, and don't forget to get your merch, such as hoodies, as well as mugs. Let's sip, let's talk, and let's make that positive change. We're going to become our best self, and I'm going to help you to get there. So again, I have so many to choose from as far as varieties that's best suited for you. Grab the relationship coaching that's going to be that game changer for you. And I can't wait to see you there. What are you waiting for? And I love that. And you know what? And to your point, the more you're, in your word, the more you're in your prayer time, the more that you start to value you. You start to realize what you will tolerate and what you won't, what you will accept and what you just cannot, know? And that's definitely something, like I said, you have to be at least have that relationship with God, even if it's not the strongest, but you have the desire to want to grow and to go. Like we can work with that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We can work with that.
Yeah.
And to your point too, I was gonna ask, and you kind of beat me to that question, but that's all good because I like it. Because I was gonna ask, what's the difference between when you're setting like standards and non-negotiables versus you're just living in fantasy land, okay? Because it's not necessary for that person to be 6 foot. I mean, so you mean to tell me that at 5'12", at 5'11", he just ain't gonna, he's not gonna cut it? Like 1 inch is gonna be like,
right. Yeah.
And it's funny too. I just recently watched on Amazon Prime Mike Todd's relationship goals, and that was one of the things too. That book really helped to really put things into perspectives for me, because it really helps you to really realize that it's okay to have standards. Just don't go overboard with it, because sometimes the person that you least expected though is going to be the one that treats you like a king, treats you like a queen, and be really show you that selfless love that you've been looking for.
Yeah. I always say, like, I don't ask for what I'm not already doing. So whatever I'm asking for is what I'm requiring. So you gotta be realistic in that department. And so that's one way that I lead. And I wanted to go back to something you said when you said you. It's so funny because that's a subtitle in my book, Navigating Life in Uncertainty. And you literally were like reciting what I wrote in there, which is so crazy because I don't even know if you got to that part yet. But I just talked about, you know what you tolerate, you know what you not tolerate. And so it hit it on the nail. That just put the biggest smile on my face. But yeah.
Yeah, but listen, I love, and it's
divine alignment.
Baby, come on. What's that? We here with it, okay? I'll get better at y'all, I promise.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, I wasn't always, like this. This was something where during a trying time when, I was fighting head over heels for, like my marriage to work and stuff like that. That's when I realized that I needed my relationship with God more than I needed man.
Yeah.
And I think that really was the turning point for me. That's when I started to realize, my worth and value, because sometimes you can get lost in a person, a relationship, sometimes just maybe in life where you don't realize that you deserve it, know? And it's funny because when I was journaling, so journaling was a big aspect in my journey. Hence why I'm always pointing out y'all your favorite journal. I'm gonna have it together for y'all real soon. But that was something where I could be able to really get my emotions out, really, pen to paper, be able to really have that conversation when you can't talk to God.
Mhm.
Because there's sometimes you want to talk and the words just won't come out.
Mhm.
So writing it out was one of those things. And the more I started to read, the more I started to, gain more knowledge, realize the principles that's right there in the word if you really apply
Mhm.
them. So what's some of your, I know you said that you are, avid in your word. What's
Mhm.
some go-to scriptures that really just get you through your day to day?
So one of my favorite sayings is "It's a great day to be great,"
Yeah.
and so
Love
I
that.
most recently like realized it was derived from "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it."
Okay.
And so that's one of my favorite scriptures because it's like,
Same.
understanding that each day God gives us is a blessing.
Come on.
And so you also said something about, not wasting time. And I
Yes.
was watching a sermon on the way here, and it talked about, which is another one of my favorite scriptures, is in Ecclesiastics, where it talks
Mhm.
about there's a time for everything under the sun.
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite things to reference because
Same.
under Ecclesiastes as well, it just talks about how there's a time for talking, there's a time for listening. And I like
Mhm.
referencing that because it also helps me keep myself in check.
Wow.
A Galatians 5, even though it's not really like a day-to-day thing, it's just the
Mhm.
fruits of the spirit though,
Yeah,
right?
there's nothing wrong with
So
that.
I love being able to go to that and like, look at it and see, okay, am I doing that? Am I living out the fruits of the spirit?
Yeah.
Did I see some works of the flesh in myself? Like I like to be able to reference that one.
Mhm.
And then also Proverbs, she opens her mouth in wisdom and
Okay.
wisdom. She opens her mouth in wisdom and teaching and kindness is on her tongue, something along those lines.
Okay.
But I love that one. I have it on my board because it's
Nice.
like I want to be able when I'm speaking to speak from that gentle place, a
Yeah.
kind place, like from a place of wisdom. So
Mm.
these are some of my favorite, I would say, like verses that are like some go to. But yeah, at the top of that list is "This is the day the Lord has made" because we got to start our days in gratitude.
That's right.
And that just makes so much of a difference. And I
It
always say
does.
like it's not happiness you need, it's joy because joy comes
Ooh,
from the internal, from God. And happiness is like an external thing.
external. Yep.
But yeah, so that's what I would
Mm.
say. Mhm.
You know what? I love that. For one, kudos to you, girl, because right off the top of the dome, you're like, oh, girl, boom, 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 boom. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just those when you're down and out, when you're happy, when you're sad, when
Mhm.
you're in between. Like it's nothing like having those scriptures that are embedded in the heart. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yep.
And it's ironic and funny too. When I started reading your book, my number one favorite scripture, and by now, like my like diehard supporters know this,
Mhm.
is Proverbs
Yes.
3, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
For yours to start off that way, I already knew I
Yes.
had the right book in my hand. You hear me?
Absolutely. Yep.
Trust
Yeah,
in
that's
the
one of
Lord
them.
with all thy
Yep.
heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in
Mhm.
all thy ways acknowledge him and
And
he
you
will
will make
direct
your
your
path
path.
straight.
When I
Mhm.
tell you, no matter what translation I read it in,
Yep.
it all is the same
Yep.
because, Lord, not my will or way, but yours.
Yep.
That's what's going to lead me. That's what's going to guide me.
Mhm.
Rejoice, for this is the day that the Lord has made. I
Mhm.
learned exactly what you said. I learned in the midst of the sadness. Because, like I said, when
Mhm.
I was going through, which was when I tell you, I don't wish it on my worst enemy to have to go
Mhm.
through, a breakup or an ending of a marriage the way that mine did. When I tell you that those got me through some tough times, those
Mhm.
scriptures,
Yeah.
those were the ways that I could still be able to find joy in the midst of sorrow.
Mhm.
And I've tried not to cry, y'all. I've been doing
Yeah.
good. I've been doing good on these episodes. But when I just think about the goodness and the mercy and the grace of God
Mhm.
and how he got me through something that was supposed to take me out.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
was supposed to take me out.
Mhm.
And he helped me to realize that there could be better.
Yeah.
There could be better. So
Yep.
when it comes to better,
Mhm.
what does your, future husband, what do you see him, what does he look like? What does he seem like? Not features, but I'm
Yeah.
talking those inner qualities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to the fruits of the spirit, it's like my favorite of all
Mhm.
time. But he's somebody who's gentle, who's kind, who's patient, who loves the Lord and puts the God first in everything he does. He seeks the Lord on a regular basis. Like this is his routine.
Yeah.
He's somebody who is big on family and serving the kingdom.
There you go.
I always say, like, I mean, I've never been someone who's felt like I needed to have kids, but of course, if that was God's will for my
Okay.
life, I will. But
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have, as well, I will say, since I've come into relationship with God, because I've always like wanted to build something bigger than myself.
For sure.
And so now that I'm like serving God, I'm like, I want somebody who wants to serve the kingdom together. Like,
Yeah.
how can we contribute to the kingdom? Like, it was so important for even for my event tomorrow, which when is this episode coming
Yes.
out?
Okay, so it'll technically be after the fact, but they can still be able to
Oh, okay.
get the book.
Okay,
Okay.
after cool. Because I was gonna tell something that I didn't tell anybody yet. But basically when I made my gift boxes, I put a little mini Bible in there. And so like, it that for me, it was like it was important for me to do
For
something that leads
sure.
people towards God. So my future partner is somebody who's also on that same like time frame, and like this is what it's all about. How can
Yeah.
I, add or help somebody today get closer to God? So
Okay.
that's what he looks like, and
Okay.
yeah, pretty
Listen, I
much.
love those. And amen to you, sis.
Yeah.
Because listen, first and foremost, we not changing. He has
Mm-mm.
to be rooted and covered in God. And I
Absolutely.
get that completely. I love
Yep.
that actually.
Mhm.
So, okay, so I've been asking some good questions. Let me go ahead to my face to make sure I ain't missed nothing.
Yeah.
Because this is a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Oh, I had one. I knew
Mhm.
it. I knew it. So when it comes to beauties or gents, this question applies to both.
Mhm.
What would be your advice or your encouragement for those who are getting restless, who are getting tired and
Mhm.
waiting for that person, who are feeling like maybe it just ain't in the cards for me to find that person?
Surrender it to God.
Mm.
That's what my advice would be. I was somebody who was like, I want to get married. I want to get married. I used to like cry
Mhm.
about it, like when I seen that it wasn't coming, and here I am, like I said, 6 years later.
Yeah.
But I'm in a beautiful space. Like I said,
Good.
I'm not dating at this time, but I'm open to
Okay.
God's will. So I'm open to whatever it is He has for me. So if that's in the cards, it's in the cards. But you have to surrender it to God and
Mhm.
and understand that it's His will. It's not ours.
Okay.
I think something that we kind of get caught up on too is just thinking that it's supposed to be our way all the time.
Mhm.
But like when you surrender it, like when I say surrender, you truly have to give it to Him
You
and say,
do.
God, if this is for you, it'll happen. But even if it does not,
Right.
I trust that your will is better for me than anything. And I had to get to
Mm.
that space, which was so hard. But
Yeah, it's not easy.
yeah, like I talked about like my book that I'm writing next, which is going to be about my single season.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Like just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was sitting there, and he was asking me, like, how's dating going and stuff. I was like, actually, I'm like, I'm
Mm.
not entertaining anybody. I'm not
Okay.
dating anybody except for once I'm sitting with God. And it just dawned on me. I said, that's my final chapter of my next book, sitting with
Mm.
God. That's where you get
Ooh.
to in that single season. You have to get to a space of being able to just sit with God and nobody else.
Mm.
So surrender it to Him. If it's in His will, it'll happen.
Okay.
But if it's not, understand that, or if it does not,
Mhm.
understand that His will is better than your will. But that's not to say to give up.
Yeah,
It's just that you're gonna focus on the things that He wants you to focus on in
for
that
sure.
season. And so right now, I'm in that sitting with God season.
Okay. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because when
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, this Bible speaks about just being content
Mm-hmm.
with where you're at.
Yep.
Is his timing, like you said in Ecclesiastes, his timing is the best time, and there's a time
Mm-hmm.
and place for everything.
Yep.
So in due season, it will happen.
Yeah.
And I believe it's even Galatians 6:9, that you'll be able to reap the harvest when it's due time. So don't give
Mm-hmm.
up heart.
Yep.
So I know that you mentioned this more than once, so now I gotta ask this question, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, how is he gonna get to you,
Yeah.
girl, if you're not
I knew it was
dating?
coming.
Yes, because I'm like, okay, first time I let it slide, because I had the questions on my mind. Second time, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
honey, like what please enlighten us. So,
Yeah.
so how do you feel as though the right man for you, how's he
Mhm.
gonna get to you, girl, if you're not
Yeah.
you're not actively dating right now?
Yeah. So it's so funny. Like the video I was just watching last night
Uh-huh.
with Tony Gaskins.
I'm
He was
gonna watch this
literally
video.
like, I'm gonna
I
have to
need to
send
be
it to
on it.
you
Yeah.
because he basically was saying, like, he said he tells his clients all the time, you need to go out. And
Mhm.
so I'm honestly, I haven't been there. I haven't been in that space. But I'm with him. He's like, go to a coffee shop,
For
start
sure.
frequenting places. Like,
Yeah.
what do you like to do? And I'm like, you know what? I could do more of that. So,
Okay.
for the longest, I thought he was just gonna break in. No, I'm just kidding.
Your Amazon delivery, okay?
I thought he was gonna knock at the door.
Yeah.
But so I haven't been dating, but I've been like, I'm a content creator. So I've always felt like I've
Mhm.
met a lot of people and a lot of guys like that have tried to pursue me through that
Yeah,
way. So that
I'm
was one of the
sure.
avenues that I was like, well, maybe it'll come that way. But I'm also like, yeah, I can take that advice and actually start going out more. So it's my goal to start. I
Mhm.
am just I don't know, like when it comes to dating, like I said, I've surrendered it. I'm at so much peace right now.
Okay.
Like it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like I said, I'm sitting with God, which is actually
Yeah.
something when I look at my entire single season, this is the
Mhm.
first time that I've actually done that where I wasn't entertaining a soul.
Mm.
And, so I've always had somebody on like that I was talking to, but this
Right.
time around, it's not like that at all. So,
Really? So no
yeah,
roster.
no roster, like zero
Right.
roster. Cause I'm like just so, locked into this season. And it's been a busy
Yeah.
season too, right? But
Okay.
so to answer your question, I am planning eventually
Okay.
to start going out a little bit more and frequenting some places as Tony Gaskin suggested.
Yeah, I was gonna
So you might catch
say.
me out, but yeah, like right now, I've just been posting on social
Okay, all right,
media.
and that's all right. You've been doing your thing and staying focused.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
This is your assignment at the moment,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
God only knows, when that assignment will, expire and a new one will begin. And in the
Yes.
midst of that, you find
Yeah.
you find who you meant to have.
Exactly.
So there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, shout out to Tony Gaskins because listen, when I tell
Yeah.
you, he was definitely he played a very vital role
Mhm.
in helping me to figure out, for one, I was trying to make something work that was not working, and I think my conflict was, okay, he speaks a lot on relationships, you know what I mean? If they're not for you, if he's doing this, doing that to let it go. And it was very rarely that I would get it where it's like, okay, but what about if I'm married? Like, do I
Yeah.
still let it go? So that was something that I was conflicting for a while because I was in it to be forever, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But listening to him, and it was certain times when he have his Q&A,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was one Q&A in particular, it was like the scenario was exactly what I was going through in my marriage,
Oh,
and the marriage
wow.
it's like identical.
Yeah.
He was like, I understand where you could be conflicted, because you're married and this is what it's supposed to be. But okay, but they broke that covenant by da da da.
Mhm.
He is like, and God is a forgiving God, and it's gonna be okay. So you
Mhm.
could be able to let that go. You did it. You did the best you could.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And
Mhm.
it was like, okay, Lord, I hear you, because that was something that I was constantly in prayer about, because I didn't want to disappoint God. If it was nothing else,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't want to disappoint him. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yep.
So to finally get that, because God will give you confirmation too. And,
Mhm.
we speak on that because the more that you are in prayer, the more that you are in your word, and it may not come when you want it to,
Mhm. Yep.
but in due time, it is so daunting how he will do it, and he will give you that confirmation. It's like, okay, Lord, I hear you,
Mhm.
So
Yep.
do you feel like when you meet that person, that's how you gonna kind of know, sis? 'Cause
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it's gonna be one of those divine alignment
yeah,
moments
for
for sure.
sure.
Like, so yeah, I trust God to do his part,
For
and
sure.
yeah, I think it will happen to where it's like, oh, this was definitely orchestrated by God himself. So yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah, but
definitely.
yes, absolutely. Shout out to Tony Gaskins because he's helped me a lot too with just looking at relationships and stuff differently. And I
Mhm.
mean, I honestly feel like I want to say, like, even just looking at the whole premarital sex
Yeah.
thing
Mhm.
differently. Like, I wasn't like somebody who was like, I was like, oh, I always got a test drive, but like, but once he started like breaking it down and just talking about, what the Bible says and stuff, that's
Mhm.
when I started to really also shift my perspective. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like, and I started reading the Bible too, and I'm like, you know what? It just
It all makes
and my
sense.
convictions, they just started happening. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah.
for sure,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I will say too, another one that I will listen to that also similar perspectives is R.C. Blake.
Mhm.
So I will listen to him as well, because he talks about queenology. Because, like I said, there was one thing to be able to know what I'm looking for this next go round,
Yeah.
as far as my husband, because I'm dating with the intention of finding my husband, and I do let that be known. Like,
Yes.
we're not gonna waste time.
Mhm.
If marriage is not the end goal for you, then we can stop talking now.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
You won't have to waste my time, and I won't have to waste yours, baby,
Yeah.
because we're not doing that. But it was also another aspect when I started to realize not only my standards and boundaries, but when I realized like my self worth, when I realized how important self care is, when I
Mhm.
started realizing how much self love, because
Yeah.
at some point or another, I had to come with the fact or come with the terms that I wasn't quite loving myself. And that's why I
Yeah.
was tolerating disrespect. I was tolerating things that shouldn't be.
Mhm.
So I just want to ask this too, girl, because I know you're busy with, like I said, with writing and content creating, and
Yeah.
like you said, you wear like 1,000 hats, girl. Okay,
Mhm.
but you're stylish with them. So what do you do to be able to show yourself love? Whether it's want to get a massage, whether it's going to get your nails
Mhm.
did, because I see
Yeah.
your nails together, girl. They
Yeah.
always together.
Yeah. I actually had to I do it myself now, which
Oh,
yeah, it took a while to
good.
get here, but I mean, listen, up far away they look great, but like you look too
Yeah.
close, it's gonna be
Oh,
like I see an imperfection.
you sound like me. All right, don't
but
get too close now.
but yeah, no, I when it comes to self care, that looks like because I'm so busy
Hmm.
taking time to actually just be to self. And so one
Okay.
thing I actually talked about in navigating life in uncertainty is how before like the I went through that season of uncertainty, I
Hmm.
was in a season of what I call a season of no. And
Okay.
so what I realized is that
Mm.
by me saying no to people, I was saying
Wow.
yes to myself.
Okay.
And so what that looks like still on a regular basis that I still practice that now and it's like
Mhm.
I'll have a day where I designate that day to myself. I
Okay.
might like shut down everything where I'm like my phone's on D&D all day and that is
Mm.
my self-care now. Like being able
Okay.
to sit with
Wow.
myself and like, sit with God in that moment and just literally just relax.
Wow.
But I have to force myself to do that because I'm so busy and but
Yeah.
it's one of the, things we're supposed to be following is we were supposed to be remembering the day of Sabbath, the day of rest.
Mhm.
We're supposed to have that, right? Like on the seventh day, God rested. Like
Yeah.
we should have that too. So I had to like learn that as well when it came to like me being so busy and navigating so many things. But yeah, that's what self-care looks like. Of course, like there are things that I can, do to pamper myself, but
Yeah.
I think the most important for me is those days when I just say I'm not doing
I know
anything.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
awesome. And I think that that's, important, beauties and gents, and I've expressed this more than once, more than twice, that you do have to take time out for just you to
Mhm.
show you some love. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like you can't really be able to give to someone else. And some of us, that's been maybe something that's been our biggest kryptonite, is that we'll pour so much into somebody else and we don't have anything for ourselves. So it's really important that you really show yourself that you love you first. And then
Mhm.
I feel like you can have that capabilities to be able to love, someone else.
Yeah.
And they're going to reciprocate that, and you know what I mean? So that way they're filling you up, you filling them up, and it's a back and forth thing, and you're not having to feel like, you don't have anything to give. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
always say like how you love yourself is how you'll go out and love others. So,
That's right.
like you have to have that self-love first and that
Yeah.
self-care with yourself first, and then you can go out and love somebody else, but it goes back to the fruits of the
It goes
spirit,
back
right?
to that. That's right. Everything goes back to the
Yep,
word.
it really does.
I love it. I love
It's the
it.
living word, right?
That's right,
Mhm.
honey. What do
Yep.
they say? Basic instructions before leaving Earth is what's I heard this a
Yes.
long time ago, but it
Yes, I
made
love that.
sense.
It does.
It
Yeah.
made sense. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you another person that I listen to that puts things in perspective, just from biblical principles, is Myron Golden.
Oh,
He's
yes.
been
Yeah.
phenomenal in my life of teaching me how to be more creative,
Mhm.
how to be more of an entrepreneur, and do it God's way,
Mhm.
because with God's way you can't fail. I
Mhm.
truly believe that.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, God will put, people in your way and set you up in certain situations where you can be able to really see the goodness and mercy and grace of Him.
Mhm.
And I've been just so blessed to be able to have the Tony Gassens, the R.C. Blakes, the
Yeah.
Myron Goldens, the people in my circle, my team, like
Yeah.
everybody brings something to me at the right timing. So when you
Mhm.
talk about timing,
Yep.
and I feel like I just had that happen to me where it led me to
Mhm.
Ecclesiastics last week. I can't
Yeah.
remember what led me there, but I was like, "You're right. It's a
Yep.
timing for everything," and it
Mhm.
literally is.
Yeah.
And my word for this year is to execute. So I feel like timing wise, it's time to execute on some things.
Yes.
I've absorbed enough
Mhm.
information.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go ahead and give it out.
Yep.
And so, Jan, one of the reasons why Beauty Toe came to be was that I wanted to be able to take the pain that I went through and put it
Mhm.
into purpose.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming on today to be able to, again, take a topic, take something that someone's struggling with, and that is, what am I doing in this dating scene? Am
Mhm.
I just dating to be dating, or am I dating because this is what I really want to find my person? And I thank you
Mhm.
for putting things into perspective. I thank you
Mhm.
for letting God use you to be able to speak to the people
Absolutely.
and really bless us in such a way. I want to give this also time if there's anything maybe that you want to give as like some last words of encouragement for a beauty or a gent that's watching. Again,
Mhm.
their mindset is dating with intentions.
Yeah.
What would be some encouragement today?
I would just literally go back to, the word of God. Like,
Mhm.
stay rooted in building that relationship with God first, because that is what's going to set you up to be able to intentionally date. When you know what the word says, you can use that to back anything. And if something goes against that, you know that it's not
Mhm.
intentional
Yeah.
dating, like when you're dating and stuff. So, stay rooted in the word of God. But above all as well, like, pray, fast. We have an obligation to not only pray but fast, read our Bibles
Mhm.
regularly, and don't be afraid to ask, for advice from people who are navigating that season. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I've been in this season for 6 years, which I know now it's like time for me to write the book about it and stuff. But
Yeah.
so
People need
that's
help in this
coming.
season.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's coming. But also understand, like, it's exactly like you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
So don't try to rush
Mm.
it. Don't try to get ahead of God. Allow God to lead you and
Yeah.
guide you along that journey of getting into intentional dating. But yeah, above all, like I said, just stay rooted in God and test anything someone says with the word of God.
Mhm.
So there's the verse that you will know someone by the fruits that they
Yep,
bear.
that's right.
So that's why I always continue to tie it back to the fruits of the spirit, because if you know those fruits of the spirit down, and through,
Mhm.
and you meet somebody and you're talking to them, you're gonna see them.
Oh,
It
for
those
sure.
can't fake a relationship with God. You can't fake fruits of the spirit. You can
Mhm.
try in the
Not for long.
beginning, yeah,
Yeah,
but
not for
it'll
very
it'll
long.
crumble eventually. You'll start
Yeah.
to see those works of the flesh come through. Like I just told a friend yesterday too, like you can look at somebody for the most part on the outside looking in based on some things they show you, right?
Mhm.
And see what sin they're struggling with, what
Mm.
work of the flesh they're struggling with, like so you want to, not only like be in those fruits of the spirit and
Yeah.
stuff, but you also want to be looking at those work of the flesh so that you know them and you know what you don't want to have. So yeah, that was a,
Yeah.
a mouthful, but
No, 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 but it was all good
yeah.
information. I mean, you dropped gems, girl.
Yeah.
And I would say too, for those who really are feeling alone, feeling like it's just you, whether you're seeing that your friends and family, everybody's seeming to get booed up and finding that
Mhm.
person, I would say community would be
Mhm.
a huge part. Community helped me as well because just when you think that you're, dealing with this alone, that you're suffering in silence, you'll be surprised that there are others who are also having those same like struggles. And when I was in my, small singles group,
Mhm.
before I found my boo again, shout out to my baby. But that helped me to be able to have, friends that, within my circle. It was a small group, so that way it's not too big and we can really be able to, tell each other what's been going on. Maybe we can be able to encourage one another, things of that nature.
Mhm.
And I feel like at that time in that season and my singleness, that was very important because you don't have to deal with it alone per
Yeah.
se. You just have to find your trusted group. And like I said, maybe it might be a small group, maybe it just might be your best friend. Again, it tends to not be a large group of people just because that's just how God is. Where two or
Mhm.
three are gathered, okay? So all
Mhm.
you need is just a few, and you'll be surprised what, can come from that. So, community relationship is a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Definitely being able to have somebody that you can like talk to through
Mhm.
that season and stuff. Like that's what my one guy friend is. Like we talk quite often, like probably almost every day. And like
Okay.
like I said, he asked me yesterday, like, what's going on in the dating scene and stuff. And like
Mhm.
we talk through those things too. So I
Okay.
would agree for sure. Like community is good to have, or at least that one trusted friend that you can
For
talk to
sure.
about those seasons. But yeah, it's a journey, like, and
It is.
like, the journey of singleness, like it was a roller coaster for me
Mhm.
myself. Like
Same.
it started out unintentional. It started out like not knowing like, how to actually navigate it and how to
Mhm.
actually thrive in that single season. But the single season is just as important
Yeah.
as being in a relationship. And I think we haven't talked about it enough. There's not enough people talking about how important it
Mhm.
is to be in that single season and learn yourself and grow in relationship with
Mhm.
God. Is actually one of the most beautiful seasons to be
It
in. And
is.
it's not like a curse like it has been portrayed to be. It's a
Mhm.
season of growth. It's a season of alignment. It's a season of truly seeking and serving God. And Apostle Paul talked about it and how if you are to be single, that's your time to be a disciple of Christ and go out and serve
Mhm.
the Lord and seek the Lord. So
For
yeah.
sure. Definitely.
Mhm.
I think that, you brought up a good point during that single season that you use it to your advantage.
Mhm.
Do whatever it is that you've been trying to do.
Yep.
Some challenges, some ventures that you've wanted to do. I know that that was one of the ways I was able to kind of like start my podcast and really keep going with it is that I didn't have, I don't want to say it's a distraction to be with
Mhm.
someone, but it helped me to really get my baby off the ground because I can really focus in. I can really be able to hone in on it. So sometimes you need that single season to be to yourself so you can really get some things in order the way that you want it to be.
Mhm.
And in due time,
Yep.
God will put someone in your life. And I think that when I met my now boyfriend, which we're going on like a year and a half of the healthy relationship. So this is
Mhm.
totally different from what I could have ever, expected.
Yeah.
But I think that I wouldn't have been able to receive it had I not went through the time where I could be able to be content with myself.
Mhm.
So I think
Yep.
that take, the beauty in it. And, me and Nicole D. Miller, we talked about that in that episode. Take that time to really just appreciate you and appreciate that single season because that way it's whether you know it or not, it's getting you ready for what's
Mhm.
next. And that way you can be that helpmate to your purpose partner and vice versa. So
Yeah.
there's nothing more beautiful than that.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Mhm.
listen here, Jan. I am just over the moon
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
fact
Oh,
that
it's a
this got to
pleasure.
come. I mean, we met on the pool experience. Shout out
Mhm.
to the pool experience. Shout out to my
Yes, shout out
team.
to them.
And,
Mhm.
just was a blessing. And then you helped me to even do the whole Tony Gaskins program because I was
Yes.
like, it's so funny
Mhm.
that you had brought that up in the interview unknowingly
Right.
realizing I was conflicting on if should I get it, should I not? Because my
Yeah.
journal been struggling of getting it started and finishing,
Yeah.
and you were that confirmation. So that was just divine alignment for me
Yep.
as well. And I was like, I got to get her information before she leave.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I gotta have her own beauty toe because I think
Yes.
that you just gave such a powerful message on the single season and how you can
Mhm.
still be able to be a power force through it.
Mhm.
So listen, y'all, use this time wisely because I'm
Yes,
telling
indeed.
you, once you lock in with your partner, it's now going to become where you're sharing your time and sharing that, you know, efforts and everything. So you won't have as much me time. So appreciate while you have it.
Yeah.
But again, it's setting you up so that way when you find your person, it's gonna be a
Mhm.
beautiful thing, y'all.
Yep.
And I want to hear more of y'all stories. So, make sure y'all let me know. And listen, if you are needing help to get through those uncertain times, if you're having some struggles, you're having some difficulties, make sure y'all tap in and get my girl's book, okay? Because listen, I just got a good glimpse. I think I'm at like 20 some pages in already.
Yeah.
And I ain't want to put down, like I said, I had to go get my kid, but
Mhm.
it's a good book, it's a good read, and it really is going to help you you through those, gray areas, gray moments in your life when you're like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, those
And that's
uncertain
life,
seasons.
not just
Yep.
relationships.
Yep.
So,
It touches based on that. It's like, breakups, losing a job,
I was
going
gonna
through a
say
growth
job.
stunt, like,
Yeah,
whatever the case may be, we all go through those uncertain
for
seasons. So, and
sure.
it's understanding, accepting, and navigating uncertainty with God through it all.
That's it.
Yep.
All
Hmm.
right. So I'll make sure you guys have that information so y'all can tap in and get you one of these.
Yep. Absolutely.
And listen, girl, I can't let you go without getting your expertise on this situation.
Yep. Let's
Y'all
do
already
it.
know what it is, the what's the tea. Let me go ahead and get this to y'all. So it's saying, hey, Brittany, I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years. We live together. We share bills. We basically operate like we're married. So we plan like we're married. Got it.
Hmm.
When I bring up engagement, he says, why fix what isn't broken? I don't want to start over at 32, but I also don't want to waste any more time. Is staying loyal patience or is it fear? So listen, girl. So my house rule is I let the guests go first and then I chime in and give my little end piece.
I mean, it all comes down to when we talk about loyalty, we
Mm-hmm.
should have loyalty in Christ Jesus first before anything.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that God has designed for us is not to like we opened it up with this, but
Mm-hmm.
we should not be in situations like that because he didn't design for us to just be in a situation like that. We
Mm-hmm.
should be courting. We shouldn't be playing the role of a wife before we're a wife.
Yeah.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So you are a wife when he meets you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that, I mean, when it comes to this situation, me personally, when I
Mm-hmm.
was in a relationship, this was also like a requirement.
Okay.
So you can't put, for one, I learned, you cannot put marriage on someone if that's not what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So asking about the engagement is kind of not really helping, especially when they're
Mm.
saying like, don't break what's not broken, because
Right.
you kind of can see where their mindset is.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always said for me, I'm not doing more than 2 years with a man because
Mm-hmm.
that'll tell me like, you should know. They say men know within those first 6 months to a year.
I've heard that too.
So, and that comes from asking those right questions. But if you don't know
Yep.
what questions to ask off rip, then you will end up, in a situation where it's 3 years down the line. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, at 32 is so young. Like, we like to like
Talk to him,
sentence
girl.
ourselves and say we're so old. Like, I'm at 34
Okay.
and I'm like, I feel still just so young. Like, think about
Yeah.
it. Jesus died at what, 33? He
33.
accomplished so much. He is
Mm-hmm.
still so young. Like,
I
so
know.
starting over at 32 is not the death sentence that people think it is. 30s are the new 20s. Like, it's just, they
Mm-hmm.
say it's 30s with money. So it actually would be more beneficial if you decided to go ahead and leave a situation that's no longer serving you if
Yeah.
you guys are not aligned on it. But what immediately sticks out to me is his response to it, which is
Mm-hmm.
not to actually have a conversation about it and
Yeah.
say don't fix what's, or break what's not, broken. So to me, I would say at this point is I would be moving forward. I would
Okay.
be, going out and seeing what is out there for me and giving that to God. If
Mm-hmm.
it is for you, God will, bring you back together. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not, then, you can move on, but it's not the end of the world. 32 is so young.
I know.
So, listen, you got your entire life ahead of you. You're not even halfway through your life. I mean,
Come
with
on.
the statistics that we have now, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
our timeline, but I would say that, you want to be loyal to God first. And what does the word tell us? Like we are wives when they meet us, and if he's not seeing that, then you have your answer.
Mm. All right now. Listen, I keep saying I'm gonna stop letting the guests go first because y'all be setting it up where I'm like, what you said. But I mean, to
Mhm.
piggyback off of you, I definitely feel as though this was conversation that should have been said from the very beginning, which I'm hoping that that was the case.
Mhm.
But if this person is switching up on you now, because that can happen,
Yep.
where they say one thing just to be able to get in good with you, and then like, oh, like, but we've been rocking together, everything's been fine. What do you mean? But this is where it does take strength to be able to have to walk away from something that's not serving you. So to your
Mhm.
point,
Yeah.
we have to step stand 10 toes on something, like I said, you have to stand firm. And if that person is meant for you, they're not going to let you leave. Or if they let you leave, they're going to have that time to think about it, and they're going to come on back and be like, yo, I can't live without you. Like, you are my person. Like, it'll be that enlightening period that they may need. So walking away may be the best thing. And Tony Gasson speaks about that too. Sometimes you got to walk away from what's not serving you, so that way they can realize if you were truly meant to be in their life for the forever. But honey, yeah, the insensitive of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is broken, okay? Because where are we at with this? Okay, stop playing with me. So 3 years is a nice sense of time to know if this is going to be forever, or you're just basically stringing me along until you find something better. And prayer and, God's discernment will help you to also know if this is what they're doing is playing games. So that way the game has to end. We're not going to keep on pretending. We're not going to keep playing. And the ball is in your court. You have the power to be able to walk away. And like I said, that person is meant to be, they're going to do everything in their power to get you back. I promise you. So if it's meant to be, trust me. Your girl said it first. They're going to come back around. Because men sometimes can play games. I love y'all gents, but y'all can sometimes play games. But okay, two can play that too. So,
and just to specify one thing, because I know sometimes what has happened is people think it's like, oh, I'm giving you an ultimatum. You don't want to do that. We're not giving ultimatums here. It's simple. You're just walking away. Like, okay, this is what I want. It's okay if this is not what you want. I'm going to move forward. So it's not like, hey, give me this right now or I'm leaving. No, you don't want to give an ultimatum. You just want to stand 10 toes down, like Britt said, and, decide to walk away, give it to God. And if it is meant to be, it will come to fruition. But so just to clarify that, because I've seen that, like, sometimes where they're like, you got to give an ultimatum. No. Because like you said, Tony Gaston did talk about that too. And he was saying, like, people or men should know that you will leave. And that's one thing about me, baby. I'm a leave.
Me too.
Like, I'm a leaver.
Me too. I can show you better than I can tell you. You hear me?
So, like, it's just being able to stand 10 toes down.
For sure. And I can be able to stand firm on this because I've been through it. Because when I was, like I said, when I was going through the whole marriage situation, and I was staying probably longer than what I should have, but at the same time, I think I stayed as long as I needed to, so God be able to really show me and grow me in areas that I needed. But honey, when I decided that was it, and I decided to put that pen to paper and say no more, and I decided to divorce that man, and he thought he thought I was playing then, until it was adjourned, okay? Then it was, I should have, I could have, I would have, had I been, listening to the right people, whatever the case may be. He eventually had came back and was like, I should have, would have, could have. But no, it's too late. And when you really mean what you say and say what you mean, that's it. There's no more discussion. So now I pray that, I pray the best for him. We ain't got no hard feelings. Eventually, I'll probably even have him on the podcast, because I want to be able to let you guys know that there could be positivity even after something, detrimental as that. But no. Be the best of friends at this point, but that's about as good as it's gonna get.
Love that.
So listen, they'll have that regret now. So your girl said it first. And listen, to help you get through those challenges, not only my girl's book, but y'all know I'm gonna have my faith journal, because it's done. The manuscript is done. I just feel like the devil is really playing games with me. Thank you, y'all. The devil's playing games though, because I have like one little tweak, and that's just adding the page numbers to all the pages. And I can't find no AI software that can do it. So if y'all know of any, drop it in the comments for me. Help me out so I can get this journal in y'all hands. I can get this to y'all ASAP. Okay.
Where are you writing it at?
I did it on Canva.
Oh, gotcha.
And so when I tried to use different softwares, they was pulling apart my pages, like taking the designs out and scripture over here, picture over there. I said, now, where is my page? So I've been going through it. And I remember Myron Golden told me that distraction comes before intention.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm going through.
It sounds just like what I went through with my book. I literally went through that same exact thing. I did mine in Apple, and it was a disaster just like that. So, but yeah, that's that is, I will say, like, an attack of, it seems like, the enemy, because
Oh,
it's
for
like it's trying
sure.
to distract you. And I actually, like, talked about that too when I was writing my book. And
Mhm.
I was like, this is those moments where some people might give up, but this is
Yes.
actually that moment for you to continue to persevere and press
Come
through.
on,
So,
girl. I
yep,
receive it, girl. Cause I
absolutely.
swear I was like, you
It's
know what? I'm just
yeah.
gonna give, and I'm right there, like
Yep.
98%, and I'm ready to turn away. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, my beauties
Yep.
and gents need me. So y'all, I'm pushing. I'm pushing.
Yeah.
But if y'all got some resources, help your sister out, okay?
Mhm.
Help me out so I can be able to help y'all
Imma
out. I
look it up
got it
too and see
coming.
what I can find.
Thank you, girl. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'll take any help I can get, Lord. Send it my way. So listen,
Absolutely.
I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed my girl Yan. It was a pleasure having a beauty
Absolutely.
on. And like I said, you gave so much good gems that they're
Yeah.
gonna have to rewatch it. Make sure y'all share, make sure y'all comment. Tell
Mhm.
us some things that's really been helping you guys during the single season. Like I said, we can be able to grow as a community and help each other out. So would love to do it. Make sure you guys tap in, to my website. I want to start the email list going, y'all, so I can let y'all know when this journal is finally done. So make sure y'all go in there and, sign up for my email list. Text list is coming soon. I mean, I'm doing big things out here. I hope
Yes,
y'all ready
yes,
for all
ma'am.
of what's coming. And just know that I love you guys so, so much. And of course, as always, let's make a change.